Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess, and I'm already stopping so I can collaborate and listen, because I wanted to, not because you told me to. But before we jump into the video, we're passing the hat for Make-A-Wish Georgia this month. And one of the best men that I know, and if you want to find him, he streams on Twitch under BrownLove010. But every year he spends a month raising money for Make-A-Wish Georgia. Now, so far he's raised enough money to grant 3 separate wishes. Last year he raised $5,000-ish. And with you guys' help, I'd love to smash that out of the water. So I'm going to share a link in the description for the fundraiser. And the money doesn't enter my hands. It doesn't go to him. It goes straight to Make-A-Wish Georgia, so you don't have to worry about that. But if we all kicked in a couple of bucks, we could really help out and make a difference. It's a great cause, and a great guy is working on it. And, he streams gaming on Twitch. He may or may not still have a podcast every Wednesday. I haven't checked in a while. I used to be a part of that podcast. But any help you can give would be wonderful, and I would be very, very grateful. Now, we got that out of the way, and here's the excuse to do the video so I can make that plug. We're going to jump into pocket cleavers. And a lot of you guys have been here for a while, and you already know I love my pocket cleavers. I love my pocket swords. I love oversized, overbuilt stuff. The regular knives, kind of like this, the 3-inch blades, the 4-inch handles, they're fine too. Plenty of fantastic knives, and there's a reason everybody's settled onto those dimensions for the optimal design. But I'm also getting real attached to the small, low-profile easy carries like the Bug Out and the Olatan's T025. Like, I'm getting used to those, and they're also enjoyable for their own reasons. But pocket cleavers hold a special place in my heart, and I'm not sure why. Years and years ago, I had a small lockback knife that was kind of a cross between a pocket cleaver and a straight razor. I loved that thing until I snapped it off at the choil doing something you shouldn't do with it. But when I started buying knives again and started looking at stuff, one of the first things I saw was this right here. This is the Civivi Mastodon, and this just really grabbed my attention because, well, look at it. Let's take a look at what we have here. The pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We got a flipper tab, so let's flick the bean. And you got a 3.83-inch blade and 9CR18. And this thing is $49.99 on Amazon right now. And it's on washers, and the scales are G10. The colors really spoke to me, and the fact that this looks like an actual cleaver, and my brain ties that into the old, cleavers in cartoons from back in the day, like the old cartoons, just really sold me on it. This is in the box for live streams, so we can do Cardboard Slayer with it whenever the 20-sided die decides to smile upon me. I don't carry this right now, so I figured that's a great place to throw it so we can play with it some. And, the ergos are good, and it's got this forward choil that makes it a very, very comfortable grip. I'm really starting to like these forward choils, even though I don't really use them. I don't need them. I'm in a very light use environment. But, carrying in the waistband, this thing was very, very comfortable. It's nice. It's flat. It doesn't weigh too much, and it was an absolute joy to carry and use. And, it's just, this thing was fantastic, and the only reason it really got bumped out of the rotation, it got a lot of carry time, but then I found this guy. It is the Civivi Bullmastiff. And, I got this, and something to take a look at. Of course, the pocket clip is tip up, and they're both quite deep carry. You got your flipper tab. Let's flick this bean. And you've got a fuller instead of a cleaver hole. And when I bought this, I was thinking, surely this has to be bigger. There has to be some kind of difference. But no, take a look at this. They're the exact same shape, the exact same pattern, just, the difference between the pocket cleaver hole and the pocket cleaver fuller. And this one's on bearings, whereas this one's on washers. So let's see if I can get this on camera. You can do a centrifugal flick on it. It centrifugally opens, which is fantastic. And of course, the flick off of the fuller feels really good. This one, if you grip it right, you can flick it off of the cleaver hole just fine. It took a while to figure that out. After flicking this one open, I was like, wait a second, I want to do that with this one too. So this one took over just because the bearings feel a lot better. The centrifugal flick gets me every single time. And, it's been wonderful every time I carried it for the same reasons this has been wonderful, but it does the job a little better. I kind of wish this had the cleaver hole too. That would look a bit cooler. If I was so inclined, I'd switch the blades out, but I kind of don't want to touch it. I like it the way it is. And, these are ones that are some of my favorite knives in the collection, and when I started making lanyard beads, I made these guys and I tried to color match them and color match the lanyard itself, make them look nice. And I really like how this all goes together. And these are kind of in the order I got them. So, this is kind of a timeline of me buying pocket cleavers. But, again, Brown Love 010, the guy that's doing the fundraising, he put me on to the Kizer Sheepdog XL. He's like, well, you love pocket cleavers and big stuff. You got to check this out. And I did. And I don't know if I mentioned, but these are $49.99 on Amazon, both of them, each, not together. But, I saw this and I had to have it. Now, the pictures on Amazon made this look about twice its size, which was kind of ridiculous, but still, this thing's a bit of a monster. Your pocket clip, it's deep carry, it's tip up, Lord's carry, all that. And it's got a flipper tab, so let's flick the bean here. That was a big bean flick. But you have got a 4-inch blade and 154 cm G10 handle, and you can get some on Amazon for $89.99. They're carbon fiber, no, 99, sorry, $99.99. Carbon fiber on the scales, or micarta, but no G10. I'm not sure if they just discontinued this one, but they're pretty much the same thing, just different scales as far as I can tell. And the action on this, really smooth. Let's flick the bean again. I don't know if you can hear the noise there, but I like the noise it makes when it opens. I don't know what's making that sound necessarily, but it sounds really cool. It just might be the lock and the detent playing with each other. But I carried this quite a bit too, like quite a bit. And the only real thing to mention about this is the weight. Like, it'll pull on the side of your pants, and you got to keep tucking your shirt in or pulling them back up. She's got some gravity to her. And that's kind of the price of admission. I love this thing. I love the shock value of it whenever you whip it out. And if you're whipping it out in public, just be careful, guys. You can have problems whipping it out. But the shock value when I pull this out and do that and someone hears the noise and looks is fantastic. I love stuff like that. It's fun. And, I think this one cost $89.99. I don't know if I mentioned that, but, I love the blue pivot collar here. I kind of wish the scales were a different color than olive drab, especially to go with this. That'd be nice, but it's not a big deal to me. It's just, this is one of my favorites just for the sheer size and preposterous nature of it. And I will say, like, the Civivis here and the Kizer also didn't have the best of factory edges when they came out, or out of the box. They were plenty good, but after getting knives that have got crazy factory edges, going back to these is like, I need to sharpen this. I really do. And at some point I will. I believe this one got the bejesus stropped out of it to get ready for the live stream. But, still, plenty good enough factory edge, just not the super crazy ones that I'm getting used to now. I'm developing a taste for the sharpest possible knives. So, after this, I'm looking around, and I found the CJRB Tigris. And, yet again, pocket clip is tip up, Lord's carry, all that, yada yada. Let's flick the bean. And this has got a 3.5-inch blade, and because it's a CJRB, AR RPM 9 steel. $40 on Amazon right now. And we did put this through a cardboard slayer, and that AR RPM 9 held its edge spectacularly. Like, I think we ran the whole 4 hours and then stopped it just because I couldn't physically take cutting more cardboard. It takes a lot of effort to go that long doing that, believe it or not. Now, one thing to note about this is carrying it in the waistband. This thing rubs in hot spots like crazy. There'll be a bunch of small hot spots, kind of the outline of the knife in my hip for the rest of the day if I carry this all day tucked in the waistband. So disappointed by that, because I love the way this thing looks. The blade is like a modified industrial Warncliffe, and this has that vibe like retro future, like what we thought the future was going to look like back in the day, at least in my opinion. And, I love the colorway on it, and I even made another lanyard bead to match the colorway, that red, black, and white, and I think it came together really nicely. But God, it's hard to carry. I don't have room in my pockets to jam stuff like this, so that's kind of off the table. And the ergos here, like you've got, kind of a hard corner. The underside of these scales is not really broken down. If you can see that right there where the lock goes, there's a cutout for the lock that's like really sharp on the inside edge. And, because I'm doing light cuts in a light duty environment, I don't see a ton of problems with it. But if I were doing heavier cuts, this would start to hurt really fast. Doing cardboard slayer, because I'm holding it like this, to push it through. I don't really get caught up in this. You know, that wasn't necessarily a problem. The ergos work for this grip. Hammer gripping it, however, it already feels uncomfortable. You know, your drag cut like this, not a big deal. You know, your cut like this, not a big deal. It's just that hammer grip and pushing through heavy cuts. You know, like you probably get away with carrying it in your pocket and not have the same problems I did. And, you know, for $40, it's not a terrible value. It's just I don't like the fact that it rubs so many hot spots. Like, that's kind of a deal breaker for me, so it doesn't end up getting carried. So that's why it got thrown into the live stream box, and it'll go in the pile and probably not get seen again for a while. I don't recommend it, but if you really like it, you could probably find a way to carry it. And if it wasn't for those hot spots, I could recommend this, the hot spots and the ergos right in here. If it wasn't for those two things, I could recommend it. I wish it would have done more work on that before it left the factory, softened some of this stuff up, curbed the texture a little bit. Just something to make it easier to carry. This doesn't feel like it got fully tested out before it left the factory. You know, and that's something that some of these knives have problems with is, you know, stuff that you can buy, it doesn't feel like it got much testing before it left the factory. Prime example. And it's the Civivi ST-155. They are $35 on Amazon right now, which is $34 too many. And the problems really, really go deep. Now, your pocket clip is tip up. Yeah, you know it, Lord Scary. And it's got the flipper tab, the front flipper, and a thumb hole. Now, there's a big problem here. All right, this front flipper is massive, and that's a problem. When you hit this flipper tab right here, let me try this. Try the bean flick. It's scary as hell. So when you get it right, it does open nicely. But if you don't get it right, it swings open. This is a heavy blade, and when you really pop it and throw your wrist into it, it's going really fast. It smashes your finger, and it hurts like all holy hell. It's so painful. The thing is so big and flat and wide that the front flipper is hard to use, especially with the strong detent, but it's doable. Like you can see right there, it's a struggle. The thumb hole is tiny, which means you're fighting the detent without much purchase here. It's doable, but like you saw, like it takes some effort. And the problems don't end there. We put this through Cardboard Slayer because, of course, I don't care to carry it, so we can have some fun partying with it. And I think I lasted about an hour and a half to 2 hours before I had to drop it and switch knives. It's the only time that's happened. You know, normally there is some discomfort with some of these knives that I can push through. This one, I could not do it. It just hurt so badly to do heavy cuts with it, especially pushing through a ton of cardboard. It got thrown back in the box and swapped out for the Buck Knives Decatur. This thing just sucks. Like, this is worse than being the third guy in a human centipede. Like, I cannot even begin to think about recommending this. If you look at this and think it looks cool, skip it. I thought it looked cool. I really like the looks of it. I really dig the way the blade's designed. Like, it's got a nice flat into the fuller right here, and honestly, it looks kind of like a dragon's head when it's opened. Like, I love that part. I love the looks, but everything else is garbage. So, and the blade is 14C28N. This is G10, 3.35-inch blade. If I didn't cover the specs earlier, I'm sorry. I've done a million takes here, and my brain is scrambled. So, next up is the one of the ones I waited on for a long time, and that is the Artisan Cutlery Proponent. Now, this thing, pocket clip is tip up, and this pocket clip is nice. Like, the dingus end right here catches onto the hem of your pocket, or in my case, the waistband really easily. I've got a fairly lightweight belt. It's that nylon strap style belt, and this goes right over it comfortably. It's not the deepest carry pocket clip in the world, but in your pocket, or in my case, the waistband over the belt, this makes it really easy to yank out, and you know, that is fantastic. You got the flipper tab. Let's do a bean flick. You have got a D2 blade that's 3.64 inches. This is G10, and crazy factory edge. And, you know, like you can see, it's a big slab. This is an absolute pocket slab, and, you know, I carried this thing and thoroughly enjoyed it. The ergonomics are fantastic, tucked in the waistband, even though it's a little bit of a tank. No discomfort, really. Like, it did fantastic there. You know, and all the cuts I had to do with it were fantastic. You know, the only real gripe I had about this, and it's a tiny one, is the lugs that serve as thumb studs. did catch on stuff trying to pull it, out of the waistband. It did catch a little bit, and the detent's really, really strong, which is a good thing in this case, but it makes the thumb studs hard to use. Like, they are locked in there. But this also means it's not going to partially deploy and stab the piss out of me like the Best Techman Dundee did. Oh, God, that was a bad day. So I like the strong detent. It's got a flipper tab, so the thumb studs are, ornamental for me. And, yeah, I don't want to get stabbed by this. It would be a real big mess. So, and the action on it, really, really smooth. Like, this thing, I don't think they could have done better with this. I can't see any way they could possibly improve it except for maybe softening the ends of the thumb studs up so that it's easier to remove from pocket or waistband. There is a pin that turns this into the next best thing to a fixed blade. And I don't have that pin on me. It's in the box it came in somewhere just because I don't need extra accoutrement hanging off of it. Like, I can't use that thing and don't need it in my daily life. So it's there if you want to turn it into a very, very strong knife if you're doing something ridiculous with it. But yeah, it's a fantastic pocket cleaver. Like, this is kind of taking over dominance from the Kizer Sheepdog XL just on the back of everything. The ergos, the design, like everything. Like, the Sheepdog XL I'm always going to love because right now it's the biggest pocket slab that I have by a good little bit. And the shock value's there, but this is just, it does a lot of the things better than this does. So it's a really hard call to make. Like, really, really hard. This thing is phenomenal. The most recent one I've picked up is the Oknife Gaur. And this one is a D2. The Proponent is 56 for the black one with the coated blade. I think it's the full size. This one right here in this colorway is $70. So, like, look through your specs and make sure this is what you're getting. I caught it on sale. I had Amazon points and knocked the price down a whole lot, just like this one. I knocked this down to 13 bucks out of pocket. But you've got your D2. This is also $70. I caught it on sale. When it's on sale, it's like 45, I think. And let's flick the beam. 3.64-inch blade, and this is micarta. And the micarta texture is a little weird. Like, it's very, very smooth. It almost feels like fake ivory or something like that. And the only thing I can compare it to is the CRKT Ritual. The white part of the scales is the same thing here, the same texture. It's really smooth, but there's also some grip to it. Like, it's kind of weird. It feels almost rubberized, but it's not. And this is one that I haven't carried yet. Like, I wore it around the house for a few hours just to get a feel for it, and dear God, it was fantastic. Like, this thing, it's so comfortable, you almost don't notice it. Like, it's not heavy. Like, this is kind of heavy. This is really heavy. Not heavy, not heavy. This is heavy, kind of heavy-ish. Like, this thing is a bit of a featherweight compared to some of these guys. And I am looking forward to carrying it. I'm edging my way through some more of the stuff in the backlog before I carry it. I was edging on this for weeks and delaying that gratification until I got this so that I had an excuse to blow this one. So, yeah, this thing is already fantastic, and the ergos on this are probably the best out of everything here as far as comfort in hand. Like, this thing, dear God, they got the ergos right on this. It's also the most comfortable in the waistband that I've found so far. Of course, I got to carry it for that week, and that action is so nice. The detent is tuned really well for this, and I'm hoping there's no partial deployment, but we're going to find out when we get there. But yeah, like, I really, really love what I'm seeing so far on this. And, again, aside from being an excuse to plug the Make-A-Wish drive at the beginning of the month, this is also the pocket cleavers that I have. I may have missed one in the collection somewhere, but I love these things to death. They're fun to carry. Of course, you're losing some utility. You're losing the puncturing cuts that you would have on almost anything else except for a straight razor. But you're gaining some shock value. You're gaining some fun, and all the rest of the function is there. Now, if you need a puncturing cut, here's your guy. That base is covered. But the rest of them, of course, the end is kind of blunt because pocket cleaver. But, I thoroughly enjoy carrying these. And, when I didn't have something to review actively, these guys were hard to not reach for. This was hard to not reach for. This is now hard to not reach for. And I assume this is going to be very hard to not reach for, too. Again, I can't really recommend this one in good conscience, and I absolutely cannot recommend this one. I mean, good God. You'd be better off being forced to watch your mom's OnlyFans. They got one of everything wrong with that. It's just, they designed it. Some dude walks in, throws it on the desk. All right, I made it. It looks cool. Ship it. No testing whatsoever. I can't imagine how this design got okayed with, like, apparently zero testing on it. Like, it took like 5 minutes to figure out there were problems, and then carrying it took about an hour to figure out there were massive problems with it. In my pocket with more protection than in the waistband, it's still hot spotted like crazy. I have complained about this repeatedly, and I am so disappointed by it. I wish I hadn't bought it. And I should have returned it, but my brain doesn't think, hey, I don't like this, return it. So it sits here, and it's been too long to return now. So, yeah, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. We are getting so close to that first 1,000. I can almost taste it. We're going to get there sometime soon and do the giveaway. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about these guys. If you have one of them, let me know how it works for you. And, of course, share your experience in the comments for everyone else. But, yeah, all that being said, y'all have a nice day.